Hi everyone. Today I wanted to talk about controlled opposition, which is a mind control technique of divide and conquer, also known as the Hegelian dialectic or artificial conflict resolution, by which the rulers create an opposition to give people an impression of choice, to distract people, to misguide them, and ultimately to have people fight against each other instead of looking where they should be looking to understand the actual problem and to uncover the perpetrators. So it's a framework for guiding thoughts and actions into conflicts that lead to a predetermined solution, a circular pattern of thought and action, which makes people even accept war, even though people don't benefit from it at all. The people running the controlled opposition don't even have to know that they are part of it, or they don't have to be aware of it. They're just allowed to reign because they are not really dangerous to the system. And later they can be corrupted to lead the masses into the wrong direction. Telegram is likely a platform made for the controlled opposition, a medium where people feel they can do free speech, but because everyone is concentrated on this platform, it can be easily monitored and infiltrated. So controlled opposition can play temporarily a positive role by helping the normies to wake up. But then eventually they would have to start critically thinking on their own, become sovereign, and go to the next level, which is often a difficult step for many. This is because certain assumptions about how the system works are not questioned, because it's painful. So solutions cannot be found. It's ultimately a trap. So here in this short video I wanted to use body language analysis to look at Viviane Fischer and Julian Reichelt. And the question is if they are knowingly or premeditatedly part of the controlled opposition, or if they're just endured because they are not dangerous to the system. So first, Viviane Fischer. She is an attorney and an economist, and together with Dr. Rainer Füllmich founded the Corona Committee, or Corona-Ausschuss in German, a grand jury proceeding by the People's Court, a public opinion court to investigate the corona measures, their effectiveness, and whether they're evidence-based. So Dr. Rainer Füllmich, he's an attorney and trial lawyer in Germany, but is also admitted to practice law in California, US. Ironically, he's part of the party Die Basis, a democratic root movement, and even was the party's candidate for chancellor in Germany. Now he had to leave the Corona-Ausschuss, the Corona Committee. Let's see what Viviane Fischer has to say about him. We could go to the 119th session on the Corona Committee website. Everything is synchronized in English, but that's harder to read. It sort of covers up the nuances. So here instead I went on YouTube and I found a short clip somewhere on someone's channel, and I use that because YouTube can be used to provide subtitles in English, and that's easier for me here. Okay, let's get started.
Ja, hallo und herzlich willkommen zu einer weiteren Sitzung vom Corona-Ausschuss. Es ist unsere 119. Sitzung. Sie heißt Recht und Gesetz.
So here she's pumped, she starts very energetic, looks into the camera, but yes, she has to take in a lot of air to get started. But we see already a lot. So she's wearing black for the occasion, or fitting for the occasion. Nevertheless, she wore black before, but that's a sign of mourning and sadness. Foreshadowing already the bad news, and fittingly the session is called Law and Order, indicating that there's an issue in this area.
Das liegt daran, dass wir uns heute einem neuen juristischen Ansatz widmen.
So here's the insecurity starts, the eyes closed, she looks around for security. And she's also indicating says that there will be a new approach being discussed. So this is another indicator that something is going to happen. So there's already a lot of symbolism and meaning.
Da bin ich sehr gespannt. Renate Holzeisen wird uns diesen vorstellen. Und außerdem setzen wir uns mit dem Nürnberger Kodex auseinander. Der hat ja gerade in Nürnberg seinen 75. Geburtstag gefeiert. Heute.
So we can see her mouth is very dry. She makes these noises. It's an indicator of fear.
Ist ein besonderer Tag. Der Ausschuss findet heute und auch bis weit.
So now she starts looking down. It's an indicator of sadness and sorrow. And she pulls her shoulders up, so that's turtling. It's an indicator of fear, of wanting to disappear. And she's also starting to misspeak heavily.
Bis auf weiteres ohne Rainer statt.
And we saw the worry lines on her forehead. So these are indicators of fear again. Let's back up.
Der Ausschuss findet heute und auch bis auf weiteres ohne Rainer statt.
So she's indicating that this will happen in the future without Dr. Rainer Füllmich. And she is also rubbing her hands. These are adapters. This is to dissipate stress. So self-touching, soothing. And she has an arm barrier for additional protection.
Rainer statt. Es gibt Ungereimtheiten, für die wir auf konstruktive
So she misspoke.
Lösungen von Rainer warten. Wie heißt es so schön? Taten sprechen mehr als Worte. Und Taten sind auch nötig, damit der Ausschuss ungestört weiterarbeiten
So again, she misspoke again.
kann. Ich bin aber wirklich optimistisch.
So optimistic, she sighs, pulls her shoulders up even more and looks down and has even a huge arm barrier. That's a huge signal of insecurity and fear.
Dass alles, was jetzt geschieht, im Gesamtzusammenhang gesehen letztlich zum Guten sein wird. Sunlight, wie Rainer immer so schön sagt, is the best of disinfectants.
So somehow she still has hope. She's still holding on to Rainer Füllmich. She's quoting him. She's hoping he makes a good move. So afterwards, Wolfgang Wodak is also speaking on this, and he hints towards that these class action lawsuits Rainer Füllmich intended to start the last 2 years didn't go anywhere, that there might be some issue with money he collected and conflict of interest and fraud.
Is the best of disinfectants.
So now she's even touching her mouth or covering her mouth. So again, creating more adapters and covering up. So she's not at all confident. She's heavily breathing. She needs oxygen because of her fear. The limbic system, a very basic fear response, wants her to run, fight, or play dead. And that inhibits the neocortex in terms of thinking. So that's why she misspeaks heavily. So she's very fearful, breathing heavily, and she has a turtling, so she wants to disappear. Julian Reichelt, a German boulevard journalist, and he worked for 4 years for the German Bild newspaper, but was fired by the Axel Springer publisher for abuse of power and because of her allegations of sexual exploitation of younger female colleagues. The firing of Reichelt was seen in connection with the takeover of Bild by the US media agency Politico and the stricter US compliance laws. Now he is YouTuber and runs a popular channel Achtung Reichelt. So that should be interesting. Here in this short video clip, he tries to answer questions from the audience. In particular, he addresses the allegation whether he is controlled opposition. So that should be very interesting. Okay, let's get started.
Anchorage 2010 fragt, seid ihr echt oder gesteuerte Opposition?
So the question is, are they controlled opposition? So here's the first red flag already. He's using sarcasm to ridiculing critical thinking people in the audience, and later he calls them conspiracy theorists. So sarcasm, that means it's a cutting, often ironic remark intended to express contempt and to ridicule others. But hidden behind this, so expressing contempt, but hidden by satire and humor. So he's hiding the truth. He's not taking the audience seriously.
Da ihr bisher weder zensiert noch gelöscht wurdet. Interessante Frage.
So he says interesting questions, and he leans back, causing a pause and putting the knee up in barrier. That's a very defensive position. Not a good sign?
Also wir sind echt, wir sind nicht gesteuerte Opposition.
He says we are real. And he looks down, and now he has to hold on and make himself bigger, and he looks really angry. So there's some suppressed anger here. And the asymmetry in his face is always not a good sign. It's generally an indicator of a deceitful person, or at least someone who is hiding something.
Opposition. Ich glaube auch nicht, dass wir in Deutschland schon im Bereich gesteuerte Opposition angekommen sind. Das sind
So he's playing it down, the role of controlled opposition. He says in Germany that's not the case. So he's supporting the current system. He's not showing a way out, which is an indicator of controlled opposition. And there's an asymmetry in his face, even a little smile.
Beliebtes Modell in Moskau.
And at the same time, he's portraying the Russian system in Moscow as bad. That there's really controlled opposition. So at the same time, he's attacking Russia. So again, in line with the mainstream media and the government.
Ich glaube nicht, dass das
the one-eyed symbol is again satanic.
Ein ähnlich übermächtigen Kontrollapparat, der sich seine...
So he shows the lower teeth, again a sign of anger. So there's a lot of suppressed anger here.
Eigene Opposition schafft in Deutschland schon gibt.
Again, he looks down when he asks whether it really exists.
Viele Medien verhalten sich auch nicht wie die kontrollierte Opposition, sondern wie Teil der Regierung. Deswegen ist es eigentlich gar nicht so schwierig, Opposition zu sein. Und wir halten es für eine große Marktlücke, weil es eben so wenige...
So he says the opposition is a good niche for him, is a good market. So the opposition shouldn't be about finding a market niche. It should be real and authentic because of pressing issues. So his views are concerning.
Menschen gibt, die das, was Mächtige tun, was zum Beispiel unsere Bundesregierung tut, was die durchgeknallten Grünen jeden Tag tun.
So he's just ridiculing the Green Party, which is fine, but he's not offering solutions. So he's still working within the system of parties and government and everything being legitimate.
Kritisch hinterfragt. Gibt es so gut wie nicht mehr.
So it's just about critically asking questions. That's what he says he's doing.
Deutschland. Und das halten wir für den Hauptgrund für unsere Reichweitenerfolge der letzten.
He looks down again.
Ihr müsst euch also keine Gedanken machen, wir werden von niemandem kontrolliert, von keiner Verschwörung, von keiner Regierung, die uns duldet. Wir sind tatsächlich genauso.
So we see a lot of contempt because of the asymmetry. So not very trustworthy when he says he's not controlled opposition. And he's pressing his lips together, so there seems to be more should be said, but he's preventing himself from saying that. So you have a bit of duping delight here even, that asymmetric smile when you successfully trick someone.
Man kann es kaum glauben.
And now he's looking down, hiding his duping delight.
Nächste Frage. Marys Magic Moments. Bereuen Sie Ihre Haltung gegenüber der Bevölkerung am Anfang der Corona-Zeit?
So the question is, does he regret his position at the beginning of the corona pandemic? And he's looking away. So here on his left side or on our right, he seems to have notes, probably someone holding up stuff so he knows what to say. That's not very authentic if he has to look at his notes.
Meine Haltung,
Again, the one-eyed symbol.
auch am Anfang der Corona-Zeit, war immer, am Anfang gebe ich zu, schon ein bisschen Beunruhigung, wobei die nie bei mir persönlich in irgendeine Form der Angst umgeschlagen ist. Und am Anfang der Corona-Zeit.
Again, he's looking at his notes. So he's pretending he was always against the rules, but in the beginning he was a bit scared. There are video clips showing that he propagated everyone to get vaccinated and that he is vaccinated, and he promoted that. Based on his wide reach with the Bild newspaper, he would have influenced many, many people to get vaccinated. So he's misrepresenting or purposefully misremembering the past. So he's lying here. And he has to look at his notes.
War ich durchaus der Meinung, dass man sich das einmal vorsichtig anschauen sollte, was da eigentlich gerade passiert. Ich war übrigens immer der Meinung, dass das aus China kommt, und zwar künstlich aus China kommt, durfte man früher nicht sagen. Noch vor wenigen Wochen wurde man auf Plattformen für diese Ansicht zensiert als...
So now he's trying to be authentic by saying the thing came out of China, the virus. So he's trying to win us over with a bit of conspiracy theory, admitting he's believing that.
Anti-chinesischer Rassist. Inzwischen ist es relativ klar, dass...
But it's a serious question and he's laughing and ridiculing the whole situation.
Corona nicht über uns gekommen ist, weil irgendjemand auf irgendeinem Markt eine nicht ganz durchgekochte Fledermaussuppe gegessen hat. Also meine Haltung am Anfang der Corona-Zeit war eigentlich immer, dass man sich das einmal...
So he's again lying because this is not what he said in the beginning. He just says he always promoted to be careful. That's not what he promoted.
Anschauen muss, aber grundsätzliche Skepsis gegenüber der Regierungsposition.
Again, he has to look at his notes.
Die Skepsis, das gebe ich durchaus zu, ist im Laufe der Zeit immer größer geworden, weil ich gesehen habe, dass dort, aus meiner Sicht wird es auch immer klarer, eine globale Hysterie ausgebrochen ist.
So he's just basically saying there was an hysteria and nothing else. There's nothing else wrong with the world. The government overreacted, but nothing bigger is going on. So he keeps people confined to the rules of this government. And he had this asymmetric shoulder shrug, so this is not a believable statement.
Parallel mit der Pandemie. Und je lauter die anderen Lockdown, Lockdown, Lockdown geschrien haben und Impfpflicht, lasst euch impfen, wer sich nicht...
So again we see the sarcasm, he's ridiculing certain groups of people, he's not seriously answering the question.
Nicht impfen lässt, ist ein Staatsfeind.
He has to look at his notes.
Desto widerspenstiger bin ich geworden, Das ist vielleicht ein bisschen die Kurve. Ich war aber nie ein Fan
So no fan of the corona measures, huge shoulder shrugs, completely uncertain. It's not a true statement.
von diesen Maßnahmen, sondern war tatsächlich immer ein Anhänger
So now you have to look at his notes.
des schwedischen Wegs. Und der schwedische Weg erschien mir von Anfang an vollkommen schlüssig, dass man, wenn man als
Asymmetric shoulder shrug.
Regierung für die Bürger arbeitet, nicht als allererste Maßnahme Menschen vorschreibt, wie sie sich zu verhalten haben, sondern ihnen sagt, das ist das, was wir wissen, verhaltet euch verantwortungsvoll, so wie ihr das als mündige Bürger durchaus in der Lage seid zu tun.
He's using terminology that he stays within the confines of the rules of the government. So he's playing down the seriousness of getting it wrong, the response to this pandemic. When I talk about this problem from the last 2 years, I quickly get very heated about it. I get very passionate about it. I say it's outrageous what they did to our children and to our elderly, how they destroyed businesses, and I get very quickly emotional about it. But he, in contrast, he's playing it down, he's ridiculing it. And so there's a lot of deception in here. Okay, based on the short video materials I showed and analyzed, I don't see Viviane showing intent to misguide the people, but things are different with Julian Reichelt. He shows signs of deceit and trickery. Julian Reichelt is useful to wake up the normies, but he doesn't provide solutions. He keeps people confined to the rules and to the system. The Corona Committee is useful to provide an alternative evidence-based narrative, but just sitting there and consuming 120 sessions and hoping everything will get better is also an illusion. The fact that Rainer Füllmich was the candidate for German Chancellor of the Basis Party should be a nice wake-up call to people who still sit on their couch and do nothing. Act as you want people to act. Be the sand grain in the big inhumane machinery. Okay, many thanks for watching. And as usual, I'm looking forward to reading your comments. I hope you liked the little analysis, so be well and talk to you next time. Bye.